Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Really appreciate you guys watching this video today. This is a pretty big video. It's definitely been in the brewing some time now, to share with you guys about what has happened to the Civic, as you guys seen from the photos and videos that you see in the beginning of this video. A couple things first before we get into the video, you guys. First things first, you guys may see a difference in terms of camera quality and audio, so just want to throw it out there, you guys. We have got a new camera. Really hoping that the audio microphone that I'm using, I borrowed it from a friend. Shout out to Gabe. Thanks, Gabe, for helping me get this video out. That being said, we have got a new camera. I know for the longest time I've been needing one in terms of audio and autofocusing. So hopefully this camera is going to be a big change, because I definitely want you guys to get the better quality in video and also the better audio in the video. Another thing too, before we get into it, make sure you give this video a like, you guys, and consider subscribing for more content. With that being said, let's address the Civic. Alright guys, so as you guys saw, the Civic got into a pretty big accident. This has happened a couple of months ago. So one day on the way to work, this was super early, I decided to come in for overtime. It was around 5:30 in the morning. There was barely any people on the road. Managed to pass most of the cars on the road at speed limits, obviously. But I noticed by the time I passed that certain group, there was this particular car that barely just entered the freeway. I was in lane number 1, they were on lane number 5, which is the very entrance of the freeway. And I found, when I started to approach them closer, I started to notice that they were merging pretty abruptly when I was getting closer. Now, I didn't see any turning signal. I was too focused just making it to work. Eventually, the more and more got closer, the further this person was getting closer to my lane. So what ended up happening was, as soon as I was approaching this person's vehicle, pretty much right next to each other, like right when I was about to get next to them, and we're neck and neck, before I was able to pass that person's car, the person just abruptly just swing their wheel to the left, ending up hitting my passenger side. Again, there was no turning signal, and this was really early in the morning. I did notice they were driving weird, but I didn't really think of it too much because I was all the way on lane number 1. But when that contact has happened, what I imagine what happened was that driver's side of that car that hit me hit the passenger side wheel, and the turn that I was actually making at the time, I was actually an ongoing left turn. I believe it forced my wheel to cut right immediately while I was holding left. Now this part is really important, because right after that hit and right after that car moved away from my vehicle after point of impact, the car immediately ricocheted back to left. And what has happened was that force and ricocheting to the left made me drove into the side of the wall of the freeway. Now this is the part where it got probably the most hectic out of the accident. So the impact made the side airbags of the driver's side deploy. Luckily, nothing, I didn't hit my head or anything in point of impact thanks to the airbags, but the point of impact definitely made a problem on my front driver's wheel and rear wheel. The impact of the wall made my tires debead from the actual wheel, and all the weight just transferred to the driver's side. So eventually when I hit that wall, it knocked me back a little bit, and all that weight from the debeaded tires forced me back into the wall. And this car made to go into limp mode or safety mode, because for the rest of the accident I was just grinding against the wall until I made a complete stop. Now eventually when it came to a stop, first thing I did was immediately look around to see like what was happening, just because during that part of the accident, you guys, I was pretty much holding on for dear life, because accidents can happen so many different ways in a matter of seconds. Luckily, I was stopped in the emergency lane of that freeway, but that was also the bad news too, because that freeway that I was driving on is pretty chaotic. I would say around like 7 o'clock in the morning, everyone's going to work. Not only that too, the emergency lane was the size of the Civic, so it wasn't that much of a space to like actually get out safely. Now, as I said before, I was pinned against, the car was dragging against the wall, so I was pinned against the wall on the driver's side, but the passenger side was open to where I could possibly get out, so I thought. The person that hit me, I did not see him whatsoever on the freeway at all. Eventually I found out where they were, but going back to what I was talking about of when I was in the Civic. So after the car made a complete stop, first thing I did was immediately dial 911. Just because in terms of accidents, it's always good to double check to see how you're doing, because even if you feel fine, all the adrenaline is rushing through your body, and potentially you might be injured, you don't even know it. So contact 911. They sent an ambulance out and a few police officers as well to see if they can try to track down what happened with the other person and me, since I was a part of the accident. So unfortunately, you guys, when I was in that accident and pinned against the wall in the emergency lane, I was stuck in the freeway for about 10-15 minutes, just because it took a while for the dispatchers to come out pretty early. Not only that too, like I said, that freeway is pretty busy, so everyone's trying to get to work around that time, around 7 o'clock in the morning. So what ended up happening was I was stuck on the freeway for 20 minutes because no one would slow down for me to get out of the car. So the way that it works is, you guys, like the freeway, it was driver's side, again, stuck, pinned against the wall. The right side, the passenger side, it was just cars flying past me around 70 to 80 miles per hour. So even if I if I did get out, the chances are me getting hit was pretty high. So I ended up staying in the vehicle. Not only that too, since the car went into safety and limp mode, certain things wouldn't work. Like I couldn't move the vehicle like to safety to get it out in the safety zone. The point of impact of the accident actually prevented my passenger door to open, so I was stuck. The windows wouldn't roll down. I even tried my sunroof on my Civic and it wouldn't open either. So I was stuck there until eventually the first responders came. And they actually had to shut down the freeway because no one would slow down, and they had to get me out safely. So I was taken to a hospital. Luckily, I walked away with minor injuries, but the Civic has suffered tremendous damage. While I was at the hospital, I gave my statement to the officer that I was at scene. Apparently, when I was giving out my statement, the officer mentioned that, hey, are you sure this lady, apparently she admitted that she was driving obstructed behind the wheel. Basically, she was eating behind the wheel and wasn't looking where she was changing lanes into. No signals too whatsoever. Ever since she gave out that statement, the officer was already saying that, like, yeah, she's already at fault. And the officer actually received an insurance card from that person. So far, it was looking good. The most point, just try to get things back together. I ended up finding out a couple of weeks ago, the person that provided the insurance to the deputy that was on scene actually lied about having current insurance. the card that the officer was provided was actually an expirated card that was from several years ago, so she wasn't a member whatsoever in any insurance, which is illegal. So eventually that person got their license revoked. In terms of like how I'm moving forward from it, I'm not thinking of pursuing it any further, even though if I showed you guys, this is something that I thought about pretty hard. So I decided to let it go, just because ever since the accident, it's been harder to get to work, and obviously it was kind of harder at home, just because, as you guys know, that Civic was definitely my pride and joy, as you guys seen throughout the channel. And going through insurance to see if it is going to be repairable, unfortunately the Civic was considered totaled after the inspection. So unfortunately, you guys, like, even if I were able to get the Civic back and running, which honestly the engine probably could have been fine, but I'm super limited to the resources I have. If I was very resourceful, then yeah, maybe I could have get that Civic back out and running again. But the thing is though, it would be considered a salvage title. It's possible to get it unsalvaged, I don't know what the specific term is called, but in order for me to do that, you guys, like, trust me, I thought about it. The repairs itself was only like a couple hundred to a few $1,000s, but the labor and all the inspections and all the tests was going to a grand total around $30,000 to almost $40,000 in terms of like labor time, parts, paint, testing. And honestly, it would probably be ready in the next couple year or two, and that's something I can't really wait, especially like since I do have a job. So luckily I had to go through my insurance to get everything all settled in. Now, even though if I was taken care of through my insurance, like, I still lost a pretty valuable piece of my life. Honestly, that car was perfect, you guys. I absolutely missed that Civic so much. Like, as you guys know, I really took care of it, and I really do like how the whole aftermarket support is for that car. Unfortunately, some things happen for a reason. Unfortunately, I was one of those guys. One thing I have to say, you guys, like, I really do appreciate the support and also the positivity that you guys bring to the channel, especially going through that Civic build. It helps me become a better person to inspire others that have other Civics out there, or even other car builds out there, that they look at my videos and they say, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that too one day, because that helps me a lot and it puts a smile on my face, and I really do enjoy that. The lesson to be learned here, you guys, honestly, is make sure you just follow those rules on the road. Be careful, watch out for your surroundings, stay safe out there, don't do anything dumb on the road, and make sure you guys stay safe out there, because even though if you're probably a really good driver, we're only human. We tend to make mistakes, or in other words, like, other people might make mistakes and you might have to pay for those consequences, but it's part of life. Like, you just have to go through it. Now, if the opportunity ever arises again, will I get the same Civic? Absolutely. I love that car, and honestly, it was at the point in my life to where, like, it was actually going up, and I probably could have done a lot more things at that time, but unfortunately I do not have that car no more. So I decided to make a big decision, moving forward onto the next series and the next chapter of my life, to see what this next part will take me to. Definitely took a lot of thought, but if the opportunity ever arises again for another Civic, I would definitely get another one again. Now, honestly, I don't know how it would be later on the next couple years or so, but I'm really hoping that there's still a clean Civic out there somewhere, because I still want to do an FD2 swap one day. So we'll see if that actually happens later down the year. Alright, as you guys can see, I'm almost out of daylight completely, so I'm gonna have to wrap up a few things, just because it's gonna be pitch black here anytime soon, just because it is daylight saving. So, like, I don't have that much daytime light. But big question is, what's going to be for the next build? Obviously, I don't have a daily no more, and I don't have a project car to work on. Not only that, I do have the Datsun to the side. So this definitely took a lot of thought. I was thinking about getting the exact same car, or even honestly a Civic Type R, because I'm just in love with those things, because it's Honda. Other builds too, like, I tried looking around, And honestly, it was a pretty tough decision to make, just because there wasn't much cars that I liked at the time, because I was still getting over my Civic. But actually behind this camera is actually the new build, you guys. It's definitely a change. It's something I have to get used to and something I have to learn, because it's a completely different platform. But I'm hoping you guys would enjoy the content that's soon to come for this car. But with that being said, you guys, here is the new build, and I hope you guys are excited just as I am. So here's the new build.